My wife and brother cheated for 2 years and built a fake psychiatric breakdown to seize my assets. So I flipped the script. I fed their shell companies to the IRS and watched audits, liens, and federal charges do the rest. Hey, Reddit, so this isn't the kind of thing I ever thought I'd post, but I need to get it out somewhere. Let's just say my wife, my brother, and my own kids managed to pull off the most twisted betrayal I've ever seen. And I handled it in a way most people wouldn't. I'm not looking for sympathy, just sharing how I went from being the fool in my own house to the guy who quietly leveled everything they built. I, Steven, 38 male, and I run a skincare studio that somehow turned into one of the busiest spots in town. Not bragging, okay, maybe a little, but when you've spent years perfecting chemical peels and microdermabrasion, you start feeling like a wizard with a laser wand. No chaos, no drama, just me, my tools, and people leaving with better skin and less stress. At least, that's how it used to be. My wife, Courtney, is the type who never sits still. She owns a floral design business that caters to people who think simple bouquet means $3,000 and imported orchids. We've been married 14 years. On paper, we looked solid. Good jobs, nice house, 2 kids, family dinners, the whole package. Amanda, our oldest, is 16. Diana, 13. They're good kids. Or at least, that's what I believed. Then there's Jeremy, my little brother, 35 male, self-proclaimed laid-back type, which usually means lazy unless he's doing something that benefits him. He works for the city in waste management. Basically, he's in charge of garbage trucks and pickup schedules. Not glamorous, but steady. Recently divorced from Matilda, who honestly deserved better. When he told us about the divorce, I asked him straight up, what happened? Because you don't just throw away 10 years of marriage for nothing. He'd shrug, play with his phone, say something like, we drifted apart, or she just didn't understand me anymore. The first few times I asked, I thought maybe it was painful. But after the 10th dodge, I realized he just didn't want to say it. And knowing Jeremy, it probably wasn't pretty. Thing is, Jeremy and I were never the tight brothers type. Growing up, we tolerated each other. He was the kind of kid who'd borrow your stuff without asking, and then act like you were overreacting when he broke it. So when he started showing up at my house all the time after his divorce, it felt off. I remember one night Courtney saying, family helps family, Steven. He's going through a hard time. Sure, except I couldn't remember Jeremy being this interested in family when I went through hard times. Still, I didn't argue. The kids liked having him around, and honestly, it made Courtney happy. At first, it was small stuff, but small stuff adds up. I started noticing timing. Jeremy always seemed to visit when I was working late or had appointments that ran long. And when I'd cancel last minute, Courtney would text me, oh, we already invited Jeremy for dinner, might as well still come. Like it was normal. Still, I told myself not to be that guy, the jealous husband type who makes drama out of thin air. Courtney wasn't like that. She was loyal, organized, focused on her business. Jeremy? Well, maybe he was just lonely. That's what I wanted to believe. But somewhere deep down, something started buzzing, like an itch in my brain I couldn't reach. The kind you try to ignore but keeps reminding you it's there, and I should have listened to it. Because what came next made me realize that sometimes, when you think your life is solid, it's just because you haven't looked close enough to see the cracks. It started with a noise. I got up for water and saw the light from the kitchen glowing down the hallway. Courtney was sitting at the counter, smiling at her phone like she was reading a love poem. I leaned against the doorway. You planning an early morning bouquet or something? She jumped a little, then smiled. Just a client mix-up. Big order tomorrow. They changed the theme again. Go back to bed. Must be one dedicated client to text you at 1 a.m., I said, half joking. She sighed, pretending to be tired. Florists don't have normal hours, Steven. You know that. Fair enough. I went back to bed, but the next morning I checked her phone while she was in the shower. The message thread was gone. Completely wiped. Not archived, not muted. Gone. I'm not the controlling type, but that felt weird. If you're really talking business, why delete it? A few days later, another odd moment. I was working on invoices at home when Amanda wandered into the kitchen, phone in hand. Uncle Jeremy said he might come by again tomorrow, she said casually. I didn't look up right away. Tomorrow? He was just here yesterday. Amanda froze for half a second. Oh, I meant last week. I mixed up the days. Her voice cracked slightly. I gave a small nod and went back to typing, pretending I didn't notice. But that night I started making small notes in my phone. Dates, times, things that didn't add up. I called it the maybe I'm crazy list. Then came the moment that turned maybe into definitely. I was outside getting the mail when our neighbor, Mrs. Randall, waved from her porch. She's the type who knows everyone's business but means well. Tell Courtney I loved seeing her at the cafe on Maple the other day. You two looked so happy, she said. I paused. I wasn't there. Her smile faded. Oh, maybe it was your brother then. Looked just like you two, sitting together. Guess I mixed it up. I smiled politely, but my stomach felt like it dropped through the floor. When Courtney came home, I asked casually, Hey, did you grab lunch with Jeremy this week? She froze for half a second before answering. Oh, you mean when he helped me pick up supplies? Yeah. Quick stop at a cafe after. Why? Just asking. Mrs. Randall thought she saw you two. You know how she is, loves to talk. I expected her to laugh it off. Instead, her tone snapped sharp. You're really listening to neighbors now? Maybe if you trusted me, you wouldn't sound like a jealous teenager. I just nodded slowly. Noted. She grabbed her purse and left the room, muttering something about how exhausting it was to be married to someone so suspicious. Funny, I thought, considering she was the one deleting midnight client texts. The next day, I texted Jeremy. Need to talk. Just us. He replied instantly. Sure thing, bro. Coffee? We met at a cafe downtown. He walked in smiling like he'd just won the lottery. Man, you look tense. Work stressing you out again? I didn't answer. I'm gonna get straight to it, I said. What's your deal with Courtney lately? He blinked. What do you mean? You're around a lot. She's laughing at your jokes. You're hanging out alone. Don't play dumb. Jeremy leaned back and laughed. That fake brotherly laugh he used when he was cornered. Wow. You really think something's going on? That's wild, man. She's been helping me get back on my feet. That's it. You need to chill. I smirked. Yeah? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're getting too comfortable. You've got your hands in my fridge, my backyard, and apparently my wife's lunch schedule. He stopped smiling. You're paranoid. You think every woman who talks to me wants me? No, I said calmly. I think one specific woman might, and that one happens to be my wife. So let me make something clear, Jeremy. If you're trying anything funny, I won't argue or beg. I'll end it. Fast. You get me? He went quiet, trying to laugh it off again, but failing this time. You've changed, man. I leaned forward. No, I just started paying attention. He muttered something about me losing it and left. I sat there for a while, sipping my coffee. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't angry. I was calm. Too calm, maybe. That night, Courtney acted like everything was normal. She made pasta, talked about a client who wanted 1,000 roses for a wedding. I nodded along, pretending to listen, but my brain was somewhere else, replaying Jeremy's face when I warned him. He looked guilty, not shocked. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't confront anyone again. Not yet. I smiled, cracked jokes, played the perfect husband. But inside, I was done pretending everything was fine. When my conference came up the next week, I packed my bag slowly, double-checking my phone and the notes I'd made. I told Courtney I'd be gone 3 days. She smiled and kissed my cheek, told me not to stress. I smiled back. I won't. As I drove off, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Jeremy's truck was parked 2 blocks away, half hidden behind a tree. And that's when I stopped wondering. The conference I'd gone to was supposed to last 3 days, but by the second morning, the organizer stood up and said half the speakers canceled. Great news for everyone else. For me, it meant one thing. I'd be home a day early. On the drive back, I thought about picking up Courtney's favorite pastries from that overpriced bakery downtown. I figured maybe surprising her would reset whatever weird tension had been hanging in the air. That's the thing about suspicion. You want to prove yourself wrong. You want normal back. I pulled up to her shop first. Her van wasn't there. Weird, since she'd mentioned prepping for a huge wedding order that week. Inside, her assistant looked up from arranging bouquets and smiled. Oh, hey, Mr. Carter. Courtney isn't in. She took a personal day. Personal day. That phrase hit strange. Courtney never took personal days. She bragged about working through colds, migraines, even holidays. I forced a smile. Did she say where she went? The assistant shrugged. Just that she needed a break. Everything okay? Yeah, I said quickly. Just surprised her car's not here. On the drive home, the pastries on the passenger seat felt heavier than usual. When I got home, the house was quiet. No music, no TV, no Courtney. Her car was gone. I set the pastries on the counter and went to grab my laptop bag from the garage. That's when I noticed Courtney's tablet on the kitchen counter, still lit up. She never left it behind. The screen showed some app running in the background. I almost ignored it. Almost. But then a small notification banner slid across the top. New photos added. Special flowers folder. I don't know what made me tap it, but the second the photo album opened, My whole world stopped moving. The first image was Courtney in our bedroom. My bedroom. She was wearing the lingerie I'd given her last anniversary. The angle of the photo was wrong, like it was taken from my side of the bed. A man's tattooed forearm was half visible at the edge of the frame, hand on her hip. I didn't need to guess whose arm that was. Jeremy. I scrolled. Photo after photo. Hotel rooms, my couch, my garage. There were timestamps, too. One from the weekend I'd been at that skincare expo in San Diego. Another from the time I was stuck late at the studio for a bridal booking. 2 years' worth of evidence staring right back at me, methodically organized. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen. My body wasn't even shaking. It was like my brain switched to autopilot. The same calm I get when a client faints mid-treatment. Assess, react, don't panic. I opened the folder list. That's when it got worse. Each set of photos was labeled with my schedule. Conference week, March evening clients, August San Diego trip. It wasn't just an affair. It was organized, planned, like a project they'd been managing behind my back. I kept scrolling and found screenshots of messages. One between Courtney and Jeremy. Courtney sent "Steven bought the sensor upgrade story again. We've got all weekend." Jeremy replied, "Amanda deleted the door cam footage like you asked. Diana's covering tomorrow. Told her I'm taking her shopping. My kids, my daughters, helping hide it. Amanda deleting camera footage. Diana lying to me about shopping trips." I just stared at the screen, feeling nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a quiet, cold realization that my whole life had been rearranged behind my back. I backed out of the photos and looked through the hidden albums. More screenshots, more messages. A folder labeled mental health notes. Inside were half-filled documents. Fake psychiatric notes. My name at the top. Patient shows signs of obsessive paranoia and delusional thinking. Wife concerned about erratic behavior and fixation on work. It hit me, they weren't just cheating. They were building a case. If I ever caught them, they'd make me look insane. That was the first time my hands trembled. I steadied them on the counter, closed the album, and exhaled through my nose. I copied everything, photos, messages, documents, and uploaded them to a secure cloud folder. Then I emailed the files to a dummy account I'd created years ago for spam. 3 different backups. As I worked, the house stayed quiet. Outside, I heard the faint crunch of tires on gravel. A car pulling up. My heart jumped, but I didn't rush. I closed every app, cleared the history, and placed the tablet exactly how it had been, angled slightly toward the counter's edge, home button facing the kitchen entrance. The front door opened. Courtney's voice floated in, cheerful. "Steven? You're home early?" I turned toward the sink, coffee mug in hand. "Conference got canceled. Thought I'd surprise you." Jeremy's deeper voice followed, laughing. "Oh man, you scared me. Didn't expect you back till tomorrow." I took a sip of coffee. "Yeah, surprise." Amanda and Diana came in behind them, chatting about some school project. Amanda's eyes flicked to the tablet, then to me. Her shoulders relaxed when she saw it untouched. "Dad, can you help me with my chemistry homework later?" Diana asked. "Sure thing," I said calmly. My voice didn't crack. My hands didn't shake. I smiled, steady as stone. "But first, how about we all sit down for dinner tonight? Family meal, no phones." "Really?" Courtney said, surprised but smiling. "That's sweet." Jeremy grinned. "See, this is why you're the best brother, man. Always about family." "Yeah," I said, nodding. "Always." Inside, my mind was already cataloging everything. Dates, messages, their patterns, their mistakes. That night, while they all laughed around the dinner table, I smiled and made small talk. But I wasn't part of that world anymore. I was already outside it, quietly planning my next move. And the first name on my list was Matilda. It had been years since I'd spoken to her, but if anyone knew what Jeremy was really like when the mask slipped, it would be her. I found her number buried in an old group chat. My thumb hovered over the call button for a second before I hit it. She picked up after the 3rd ring. "Steven? What do you want?" Her tone was cold, sharp, like she'd been waiting for someone to test her patience. "Hey, Matilda. I know it's been a while. I just needed to ask you something about Jeremy." Silence. Then a bitter laugh. "If this is about money or favors, forget it. I don't want anything to do with that cheater." That word, cheater, snapped me out of the polite tone I'd planned. "Wait, cheater?" She exhaled hard, clearly irritated. "Don't tell me you didn't know. He slept with at least 2 women before we split, maybe more. One of them was married. I didn't even get the full list. The guy's addicted to attention. Doesn't care who he hurts." I froze. "So it wasn't just you." "Oh, please!" she scoffed. He'd flirt with a broom if it smiled at him. Always playing victim when he gets caught. I'm guessing he's already charming your wife too, right? That's his move. Pretend he's the poor, misunderstood brother. That made something inside me click. Like all the puzzle pieces finally lined up. The visits, the family dinners, the fake sympathy after his divorce. It all made sense. He wasn't broken. He was hunting. Thanks, Matilda, I said quietly. You've helped more than you realize. I doubt that, she muttered. Just don't end up like me. He ruins everything he touches. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. The anger wasn't loud anymore. It was clean, focused. I wasn't just betrayed. I'd been played by two amateurs who thought they were smarter than me. That night, I watched Courtney while she scrolled on her phone, laughing softly at something, probably texting him. I didn't even feel hurt anymore. Just curious, like a scientist studying a dangerous specimen. Something funny? I asked. She smiled without looking up. Just memes. Diana sent me one. Cute, I said, and went back to my laptop. Inside, I was already building the first part of my plan. Over the next week, I acted normal. Did better than normal, actually. I helped Diana with her school project, drove Amanda to her friend's house, cooked dinner, even told Courtney she looked beautiful. Every move was calculated to make them believe I'd gone back to being the easy, distracted husband. Meanwhile, I was working late every night, not on skincare formulas, but on surveillance. I'd spent years in tech-savvy circles through my studio's POS systems and booking software. It wasn't hard to set up something discreet. I bought a small network monitoring tool, customized it, and slipped it into our Wi-Fi system. One night while Courtney folded laundry, I said, "Hey, I read something about data breaches. Thinking of upgrading our Wi-Fi security." She smiled. "Oh, that's smart. You and your gadgets." "Yeah," I said casually. "Wouldn't want anyone snooping on our data." She nodded, distracted. She had no idea I'd just given myself access to every device in the house. By the next morning, my laptop was quietly pulling backups from their iCloud accounts. Same family sharing network, same passwords they'd used for years. Within days, I knew everything. Every deleted message, every photo hidden in the cloud. One night, while scrolling through their synced messages, I saw a text from Jeremy pop up on my screen. He'd written, "He's getting suspicious again. You need to play it cool." A few minutes later, Courtney replied, "I am. He's too busy with work. If he gets paranoid, we'll use that." Then Jeremy followed up with, "Still have the paperwork from the therapist?" And Courtney answered, "Yeah, I'm documenting everything. The obsession angle works." The more I read, the more twisted it became. They weren't just sleeping together. They were planning a setup. My late nights working at the studio, they called them episodes. My stockroom supplies, hoarding behavior, even my attention to detail was compulsive. They were laying the groundwork to make me look unstable. Jeremy had a contact at city offices, probably ready to help fast-track some kind of protective order if I ever snapped. They'd take the business, the house, and leave me labeled as mentally unfit. It was so organized it almost impressed me. Almost. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't confront. I just kept gathering evidence. Every message got saved. One evening, Jeremy stopped by while I was grilling. He leaned against the counter, smirking. "Man, Courtney says you've been calm lately. Good to see you relaxed again." I looked up from the grill, met his eyes, and smiled. "Yeah, you know me. I stay grounded." He laughed, completely missing the irony. That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat in my office with the lights off and the computer screen glowing in the dark. Folder after folder of proof, all neatly labeled. My whole life reduced to data points. Times, names, transactions, betrayals. I stared at the screen, thinking about how easily two people can build a lie if you trust them enough. That's when it hit me. I wasn't married to a wife. I was living inside a well-organized trap. And now I was going to dismantle it piece by piece. I started with money. Courtney always bragged that she handled our household finances, but that was only because I let her. Every business deposit, every transfer from my studio, still went through an account I opened years ago under my name. I began quietly rerouting profits from new clients and product sales into a private business account, legally mine, but invisible to her. Next came the assets. The studio equipment, the home skincare machines, the extra massage chair in the guest room, all technically business property. I listed them as upgrades being rotated out and sold them through a wholesale site. Cash only. By the time I was done, almost $40,000 had quietly changed form. While Courtney texted Jeremy about keeping me distracted, I was sitting in my office creating the kind of paper trail that would make him choke. He used his city job like a playground. He handled vendor scheduling and had purchase card access for outside contracts, which made it easy to slip fake invoices through. Screenshots of her texts and the affair photos started circulating from an anonymous account. My guess? Jeremy's phone had auto-synced everything to a shared cloud folder with Matilda back when they were married. She must have found it and decided to return the favor. I knew how careless he was with passwords, so I accessed his work files through a backup email he'd stupidly left on my shared desktop. Within hours, I found everything I needed: his digital signature, client templates, invoices. I used them to build a fake chain of transactions, all under his name, all pointing to embezzlement. They weren't even really fake, just exaggerated versions of the scams he was already running. I made them look professional, stamped, dated, and organized into one neat folder. Then I sent everything: contracts, statements, payment records, to the city's internal auditor, the state controller, and the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. All anonymous tips. The beauty of it was, every single number in those files traced back to his real accounts. And then the timing hit perfect. I was printing out the final reports when my phone rang. An unknown number, local code. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. "Stephen," a voice said, hesitating. "It's Warren, a friend from high school. I'm an attorney now." Warren. I hadn't heard that name in years. "What's going on?" He cleared his throat. "Listen, this might sound strange, but someone called my office today asking about involuntary commitment laws. She mentioned your name." My stomach tightened. "Who?" "A woman named Courtney. Said she was your wife. She was asking how to file an emergency restraining order. Said you'd been acting paranoid, and she was scared you might snap. Wanted to know if she could get temporary control over joint assets if the order went through." I leaned back in my chair, smiling to myself. "I see." "Stephen," he said, voice low. "You okay?" She sounded serious. "Better than ever," I said. "Warren, you just saved me a lot of time." He sighed. "I probably shouldn't have called, but I got a bad feeling. You sounded off the last time we talked. Promise me you'll keep your guard up." "I'll do more than that," I said. "Send me your address. I owe you one." The second I hung up, my calm cracked into motion. They were ready to make their move. That meant my window was closing. I sped everything up. By morning, every joint account was drained. Legally. Spouses can withdraw shared funds anytime. I moved the money into secure accounts they couldn't touch. The penalties for early withdrawals didn't matter. Losing a few thousand now was nothing compared to losing everything later. The house was only in my name, so I listed it through a cash buyer network for a fast sale. They offered about 60% of market value, and we pushed the deal through escrow with a mobile notary. The title company recorded the transfer within a day, and the mortgage was paid off automatically. They didn't realize the sale had closed until the new owner posted a move-out notice a few weeks later, right around the time Jeremy got arrested. The cars were next, both under my name. I told Courtney mine needed maintenance and hers was going for a recall service. I drove them both to a dealership that offered instant buyouts, cash in hand. Then came the girls' college funds. That one hurt, but not enough to stop me. The accounts were legally in my name with Amanda and Diana listed as beneficiaries. I withdrew every cent. Part of me wanted to leave the money untouched for them, but then I remembered Amanda deleting camera footage like it was a game. Diana lying to my face without flinching. I decided I'd set up something later, something untouchable. By Friday, everything they thought they owned was gone. That night, I made dinner. Steak, potatoes, even dessert. The perfect family night. I poured them juice, told jokes, smiled like everything was fine. Courtney looked almost relieved, probably thinking her therapy angle was working. When dinner ended, I hugged Amanda and Diana, told them I was proud of them, and kissed Courtney on the forehead. "I'll be working late tonight," I said. "Big project to finish." "Don't stay up too long," she said, touching my arm. "You've been working too hard." Jeremy texted 10 minutes later. "Bro, I'll swing by tomorrow. We should catch up." I smiled at the screen. "Yeah, let's do that." At 3 a.m., I stood in the living room with 2 suitcases, one for clothes, one for hard drives and documents. The house was dark, silent. On the kitchen counter sat 4 envelopes, each labeled neatly in my handwriting. Courtney, Jeremy, Amanda, Diana. Inside each was a single photo printed from the tablet. Courtney with Jeremy. Jeremy's hand on her hip. Amanda in the background of one, smiling, like she knew. And one short note in each envelope. "I know everything. Goodbye." As I zipped my jacket, my phone buzzed. Courtney. Her message popped up on the screen. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. I powered the phone off, dropped it into the trash by the door, and picked up my passport. The cab arrived exactly on time. The driver didn't talk much, which was perfect. When we reached the airport, I handed him a generous tip and walked straight to my gate. At the terminal, I watched the sunrise through the glass. The sky was pale orange, calm, nothing like the chaos I'd left behind. When they called for boarding, I stepped onto the plane without looking back. My suitcase held everything that still mattered. By the time they woke up and found those envelopes, I'd already be in the air, half a world away, calm-faced, steady, and free. I thought I'd miss them, maybe feel guilt. I didn't. I felt nothing except relief. The fallout started faster than I expected. Even half a world away, you can watch a life collapse in real time if you know where to look. Courtney's first move was confusion. She posted a bright selfie the morning after I left, captioned unexpected challenges but staying strong. That lasted 2 hours. Then came the first cracks. Her credit cards froze. The joint account bounced payments. By noon, she was posting in panic, asking if anyone had seen me. By evening, the comments turned cold. People started whispering. The vendors she owed money to began tagging her in posts. $20,000 in unpaid invoices, past due supply orders, bounced checks. I didn't have to lift a finger. The web of her success untangled itself. 3 days later, the floral shop's social media went dark. A week after that, her assistant posted that the store was temporarily closed. It never reopened. Without credit, without reputation, she couldn't sustain anything. Her former clients, brides, event planners, corporate contacts, started sharing stories about how she'd delayed payments or blamed vendor errors. When people smell blood, they don't stop. Courtney's name went from respected to radioactive overnight. Then came Jeremy's turn. The city's finance department launched an internal audit after an anonymous tip flagged suspicious waste management billing. Within a few months, the audit turned into a full investigation. By early spring, I saw the headline online, "City employee arrested for embezzlement and tax fraud." The photo showed Jeremy being escorted from his office in handcuffs, looking stunned and sweaty under harsh fluorescent lights. They said investigators found over 5 years of manipulated contracts and kickbacks linked directly to his accounts. The numbers matched the ones I'd built. Only now, they were his. Matilda, his ex-wife, posted on her profile the same day. "Finally got what he deserved," she wrote with a smiley face. No explanation, just that. It was perfect. Courtney tried to distance herself immediately. She went quiet for a few days, then posted something about trusting the wrong people, and betrayal cuts both ways. The comment section tore her apart. Screenshots of her texts and the affair photos started circulating from an anonymous account. My guess? Jeremy's phone had auto-synced everything to a shared cloud folder with Matilda back when they were married. She must have found it and decided to return the favor. Within a week, her world went from designer weddings and social events to hiding behind private accounts. Then, the girls got caught in the crossfire. Amanda, being 16 and dramatic, made a public post asking for donations for college after my dad abandoned us. She played it up. Sad emojis, family photo, the whole thing. It went viral for the wrong reasons. Someone leaked one of the affair photos showing her in the background, smiling at her mother and Jeremy. The internet didn't hold back. The comments were brutal. Guess college isn't the only thing you were helping with. Don't hide your mom's mess behind sympathy posts. Diana's fall was quieter, but harsher. Her dance team dropped her after parents complained. Too much gossip, too much scandal. They said it was to avoid distraction. She cried in a comment once, writing, "I didn't even do anything," before deleting her account. They moved in with Courtney's mother 2 weeks after Jeremy's arrest. I saw the new address pop up on a business record. 2-bedroom apartment, low-rent district, from floral designer to waitress overnight. The irony wasn't lost on me. Watching it all unfold didn't feel like victory. It wasn't joy. It was more like watching the ground finally settle after an earthquake. Destruction, yes, but also silence. Calm. Every so often, I'd open social media just to check the aftermath. Courtney in uniform at a diner, hair pulled back, tired eyes. Amanda posting nothing for months. Diana tagged in an old recital photo from better times. The comments were sympathetic now, but empty. People moved on. They always do. As for Jeremy, he took a plea deal. 10 to 12 years. Maybe less with good behavior. The judge's words were public record. A pattern of deceit, fraud, and personal misconduct. That part made me smile. I built a new routine overseas. My work flourished. Steady clients, expanding projects. Nobody knew about the past. Nobody asked. I kept my head down, saved my money, lived quiet. I didn't hate Courtney anymore. I didn't love her either. She was just a story that ended. Jeremy was a cautionary tale. The girls, well, maybe someday they'd learn what loyalty really meant. I'd done what I had to. No revenge fantasy, no dramatic closure, just quiet justice. The kind that doesn't need applause. Because when the shaking finally stops, the ones left standing don't cheer. They just keep walking. Months passed, then a year. My life overseas became routine. Then the emails started coming in. At first, they were short. Please just talk to me. Then longer. You don't understand what you've done to us. The last one came with a wall of text. Courtney begging, blaming, and breaking all in one breath. You ruined our lives. The girls lost everything. You had no right to destroy us like that. You could have just left, but you had to humiliate me. You had to make sure no one would ever look at me the same. Congratulations, you won't. I never replied. She sent 3 more over the next month, each one more frantic than the last. Then nothing. A year later, I had to fly back to California for a business contract. My company had grown, and we'd landed a deal with a US research group. I didn't plan on seeing anyone, just a quick trip, a few meetings, and back home. My flight landed early in the morning. I rented a car, drove out toward the city, and realized I hadn't eaten since the night before. The GPS showed a diner just off the highway. I didn't think twice. It wasn't until I parked that I noticed the name. Same old place. The one Courtney and I used to go to years ago, back when we were broke but happy. I almost laughed at the coincidence. Inside, it looked exactly the same. Faded menu boards, cracked booths, the smell of burnt coffee that never really leaves a place like that. I sat at the counter, ordered a black coffee, and stared out the window. A minute later, a voice I hadn't heard in years said, "Coffee?" I looked up. Courtney. For a second, I almost didn't recognize her. Her hair was pulled back tight, streaks of gray showing through. The makeup was gone. Her hands were rough from work, her name tag slightly bent. She looked tired, not just physically, but in that deep way that doesn't go away with rest. She froze when our eyes met. The coffee pot in her hand trembled just enough for a drop to hit the counter. "Stephen," she whispered. I kept my voice even. Black. No sugar. She nodded quickly and poured, her hands shaking the entire time. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again." "Neither did I." "I tried to reach you," she said quietly. "I emailed. I called. You never answered." "I know," I said. She stared at the counter, then back at me. "You ruined my life." "No," I said calmly. "You ruined your own. I just stopped helping you hide it." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she forced a smile. The same fake, practiced one she used to give clients. "You think you're better than me now? Living somewhere fancy, starting over, pretending none of this happened?" "I don't pretend," I said. "I rebuild." She swallowed hard, nodding like she wanted to argue but didn't have the energy. "The girls. They hate me. They blame me for everything. They're not wrong." That broke her. She turned away, pretending to wipe the counter but really trying to hide her face. I just sat there, watching the small movements, the way she avoided my reflection in the window, the way her shoulders shook slightly. When she came back with my breakfast, she placed the plate down gently. "Eggs over easy, wheat toast, hash browns, just like before," she said softly. "I didn't order this," I said. She forced a small smile. "It's what you always got." I stared at the food for a moment. The smell hit memories I didn't want. The mornings before everything fell apart. The laughter that meant something once. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for all of it. For him. For what I did to you." I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman who'd spent years building a trap around me now stood in front of me in a cheap uniform, serving breakfast for minimum wage. "I know," I said finally. She nodded, stepping back, trying to keep her composure. "You deserved better," she said quietly. "I got better," I replied. The diner was quiet except for the low hum of the ceiling fan and the hiss of bacon on the grill. I ate slowly, finished my coffee, and reached into my wallet. I pulled out a $100 bill, folded it once, and placed it under the cup. When she came back, I stood up. "That's not for you," I said. "It's for who you used to be." She looked down at the bill, then back up, eyes glassy. "Stephen." But I was already walking toward the door. As I started the engine, I thought about everything. The lies, the betrayal, the slow collapse that followed. Some people spend their whole lives pretending the ground under them is stable, and when it finally cracks, they call it bad luck. But I know better now. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.